Welcome back to the SuperCoach Enough channel. In this video we're going to review round 19 of the 2024 SuperCoach season, NRL SuperCoach that is. And I guess a good week for us being the last bye round. 1086 is a really good score. It was about 3,500 for the round rank and about 3,500 movement overall, so we're just outside the top 10k, so things moving in the right direction, which is nice. So if we have a look at the team, not too much at the top here with all the players on bye. We did have Fino in the front row get a 48, which was nice. Not too far. Second row was really good. Dave Fafita with 76. Nikora with a 96 is awesome, and 60 from Plath is solid. And Ruben Porter, 40. I think he came off the bench, so and a well-beaten team. That's a decent effort as well. In the halves, we had Dylan Brown score at 52, Jai Gray at fullback with the 64, and Lockie Galvin with a 32. But I think his score was the one that dropped out, so that's not too bad there. And then the wing fullback spot. So we had Asako with the 69, Talangi with 52, Euro with 78. But I guess the big surprise was Jacob Gagai with 101. So I think he's jumped up in price about 90k. Projected another 90k this week. So that gets him to about 580, which is pretty wild. So that'll definitely come in handy in the run home with our last sort of few upgrades. We also had Ruben Garrick on the bench, just purely because he played in the last game, and he scored 102. So we actually got 2 tons in the centre wing, which obviously helped our overall. But I guess the king move was bringing in Tommy Turbo, playing fullback, 119 as captain. So I think most of the top teams probably had that as the option. We'll try and find some in the leagues in a minute. But 50 from Sharp as well, so a nice little game from him. But he may now be done as far as our team is concerned. So that was the team. As I said, there's no actual head-to-head matchups, but we'll dig through the leagues and see some of the top scores. So 1057 from Sharp's Clyde, a couple of 1100s there. So the Lanes Train and Little Fockers. Looks like they were the top 2, so we'll have a quick look at both. So Lanes Train, excuse me. So I had Ronaldo Mulatalo with a 136, which is nice. Captain Ruben Garrick, so that's a pretty decent captaincy as well. Gutho with a 93. It's a decent return from Gutho. Kyle Matangi with 74. He's still being solid. And then I guess those similar players there like Nikora, Fafita, Asako doing the job. So it looks like Ronaldo was the key there. And for Matt, so he VC'd Ronaldo, so that's a pretty good one to be on. Cody Walker with an 80, that's a good return. Bradley with a 70, and again, a lot of the players we've already featured. Have a look at the second head-to-head league. So an 1143 from Shano, the Dragons there. Get that up for sure. Just have a quick scroll through. Oh, 1254 from Hindsight is 4020. That's going to be pretty close to the top for the round, I would have thought. But let's see. AJ with a 121. Ronaldo. That's reserve. I was going to say vice captain and he left it. VC Jaden Campbell, who scored 111. So some monster pods there for Shane. Fafita's just there because he wasn't VC. But I also had Garrick, Nikora, So interesting, not as many people got on Tommy Turbo as I thought. I reckon Ross might have though with a score like this. Yep, Captain Tommy Turbo had Ruben Gary, Britton Nickra, but also had Molitalo, Campbell Farmworth with a 104. So that's fantastic result there. Olaquatu with the 73, probably traded him in this week. So well done, Ross. It's a bit low in the overall, but you got close to the Chockies, if not got them completely this week. Um, Third league, have a bit of a look. I might have topped this one with the team given. I think the closest with a 1065. So pretty rare that I get the top score in any of these leagues. But Jack Bostock with 111. That's great hold there from you, Paul. Whiten with an 88 is good. Campbell as well. Captain Fafita. Had Ruben Garrick and Nickra. So good result there for you, Paul. And as we said, after that, it's just sort of a couple touching 1,000, but that's probably about it. So if we go to the rankings, we'll just have a quick look at the top score for this week. 1386. So Ross was a little bit off, but um, this guy only played the one round. So let's have a look at the team he picked this week. So I went with Cook. Pangai with a 90 was smart and just loading up on cheapies. Had Nickra, Fafita, Olkwatu, Bateman in the second row. Brooks, Trindle, 138, that's massive. So yeah, Mulatalo wasn't in the team. I don't know how that works. Might have been the auto emergency, perhaps. Although I thought, oh yeah, because VAR. So that's pretty clever. Adding in the extra player in the back line to get extra points. Captain Turbo had Campbell, Farnworth, Garrick. So, the punts sort of paid off, but the Meow Mouse, he did start a little bit late by the looks of it, but 1374 is probably the top legit team. Had Pangai for a 90. Must have had a good VC. Ronaldo VC. Fuller with an 86. Fantastic. So I suppose the play this week, I was pretty hyped up on getting Sharp out and putting Tedesco in. Um, but I guess with Tommy Turbo, lighten it up. And Cooler looks like he's out till about round 26. Um, so essentially for the rest of the Supercoach season, I think Turbo is a keeper in the team. So, our second upgrade, we could go with Tedesco, we could go with Edwards. And I guess my thought is what we could potentially do is leave out Edwards for a week. I know his break even's pretty high. I don't think he'll be on the top list there, so I'll search him up. Excuse me. Yeah, so a 169 break even. So, even if he backs up this week, you expect he will come down in price a bit. I believe they play on Sunday, so chances are he will back up. But with Penrith sitting pretty in the competition ladder, they may also just choose to rest him. Well, I saw Dane Laurie was injured, so maybe they will play him. I'm not sure. But also, it looks like Nathan Cleary might be back. So with his 189 break even, I think you can potentially just sort of sit and wait a week or two on these guys and bring them in. So rather than trying to reach up to nearly $1 million for Tedesco, as in good of a form as he is, he's playing against the Storm this week. So you would expect they'll do some work to limit him. But I think we'll go hard on Edwards and Cleary in our halves. So, if we look across the rest of the team, we're pretty set at hooker with Grant and Marty for the rest of the year. Front rows sorted. Ideally we want to get one of these guys into our second row. and was Plonke enough in there. Our second row is pretty set too when you look at Fafita, Nickera, Crichton, Katoa, and could even sort of hold Plath in there as the fifth second rower. Um, but in saying that, with Nico Hines, I'm thinking he might actually sort of become our second 5'8". So we've got Brown and Burton who are going to sort of slide back here, but we might keep one in the halfback slot, and then we can interchange between them. And our second fullback, we've got, second 5'8". We've got Jai Gray, who's going to make some money, so he can stay for the time being. But, he may be the one that sort of gets flipped to Cleary in a couple of weeks, just when their prices come a bit closer together. Centre wing, we've got our key four, Osako, Lomax, Kiraz, Garrick, although we do have to keep an eye on Garrick and his injury this week. So that may force a move, as you can see, if I just put Kiraz and Garrick in. We don't have any cover on the bench for if Garrick is missing. So this is another reason why I'm leaning towards not going to Desco this week, is because we may actually need to cover our centre wing spot potentially. So in terms of any sort of locked in moves this week, and it's probably just to start preparing. I think Lockie Galvin's done his job for us. And as I said, what I might do is move Plath into the second row. I'll just push Current up. Doesn't really matter out of these two. And with that, we'll just scroll down to the bottom of our list. And we could go Ethan Roberts. We could go Miles Munn. So essentially what we're looking for is these bottom dollar players that aren't going to play for us at all. And just looking through, I think that's about it. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. So let's just go Roberts. All right, so that gives us 600k to play with, which is going to be comfortably enough to get from Sharp up to Edwards. As I said, I'm happy to sit on that for a week. But what it also allows, if we just do that one trade, is we can potentially cover in our centre wing if we need to. So if that is the case, we'll trade Talangi just because he's got more money on him. But either's fine at this point. And then in terms of who we trade in, the obvious one is Val Holmes if he backs up on Sunday, albeit against the Bulldogs who have been good defensively. But he has been the one we want to target, and I think rightly so. We could go Brian Tyre, but he's a little bit too expensive. We saved 200k going Val Holmes. Maybe Dan Gagai as a pod. But yeah, I think we'd just go Holmes. So it's not actually that expensive to trade them, and it should still facilitate the Sharp to Edwards trade in the next week or two. I guess the issue is going to be potentially trying to flip up to both him and Cleary at the same time. 500k is probably not going to quite cut it, but that's okay. We can reassess next week. I guess the other option, if we get out of Holmes, is we could try and find a cheapie that just is going to play this week potentially, and then ideally leaves the team. I don't really know who would be a great example of that. Just going down the bottom here. Papalangi maybe with the injuries at the Knights. Might have to follow that up a little bit more. But that would give you $1 million in the bank, which would definitely be enough to say go to Sharp to Edwards. So it costs us 500k, and then the other 500, Gray to Cleary could probably happen as soon as next week. So that's probably the the better move in terms of future planning. Um, and as we said, that's just a little bit of cover for if Garrick doesn't get up. Obviously, if Garrick gets up, we could just go completely to a centre wing nuff. Is one option. Um, yeah, it probably would be the right option actually. So, we'd leave something like that for the time being. But then I guess how we would set up for this week, we need to get Burton on. Going to assume Grant's going to back up. Going to assume Haas will back up, but we'll put Fino on the reserve. Just put Katoa back on, make the second row look as strong as possible. Curran can go on the bench. And then I've got my Papalangi and Sharp potentially if Ponga doesn't get up coming off the bench. I don't think that's going to be an issue. But yeah, we've got a decent squad for this week. In terms of captain, vice captain, um, Jai Gray against the Tigers Saturday Arvo. Uh, Industry Group Stadium. Where's that? Is that like Tamworth or something? Don't know. But afternoon game's always good for attacking players like that. And then, Tommy Turbo at 4 points against the Coast, I think makes sense. So we'll just leave him as captain again. It's going to look something like that. So we'll wrap the video up there. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the SuperCoach content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.